Hello everybody, my name is Marlowe and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft Survival, where I'm currently in the process of smelting up some bricks, as you can see, and we're going to need all of these bricks for the project that we're working on today, and as you can see, we need quite a lot of them. Perhaps not as many as I've actually smelted up there, but still quite a few, because brick is going to be the main block used for the pathway to connect all of the buildings in the mining operation here, which is the project that we're finally going to be finishing today. So all we really need to do is make this top level look a little bit nicer. So pathways, of course, is going to be one of the things we add, as well as a couple of other things just to make it seem a bit more interesting up here, because all we really have at the moment are the buildings and some rail lines to connect them all. We need a little bit more than that. But before we start any of that, allow me to catch you up on what we did in the previous episode, just in case you missed it, and all of it takes place on the other side of this portal. Our Nether Hub Temple, which as you can probably tell is a little bit Greek inspired. A beautiful quartz building right in the center of the bedrock ceiling here. Kind of like a home base for in the Nether, and just an easy way to get around with these really long soul sand pathways. Or soul soil, I should say. Back in the overworld, we also built this moss tower, which down in the basement holds a moss farm, which hopefully in the future should be quite helpful, but we don't need any moss for the build we're doing today. So now we are ready to get started on finishing the mining operation here. So as I said, we're going to be using all of those bricks to make a pathway design going around this area. We're going to be mixing some other blocks in too, like some granite most likely, maybe a little bit of dripstone too, but primarily bricks. And I think that's going to be the best thing just to get us started here. And then after we've done that, we can go ahead around and add in all of the other bits and bobs. But for right now, let's get that pathway done. A couple of days later, in game that is, not real life, it's not taken me that long, but we are done with the pathways. As you can see, I just decided to go with brick mostly, and then some granite and polished granite too. Thought about adding in some dripstone, but it just didn't seem to blend that well in the pathways here. But as you can see, they link up to all of the buildings, and I've also connected it up to our greenhouse up here, and eventually I'm gonna bring this pathway on round and link it up to our stone pathway up here, but that's not really needed right now. I'll do it later if I have time, but for now we're just gonna stop at the greenhouse. So eventually we are going to build some custom trees in this area, but not in the same style as what we have up on the mountain there. I don't think spruce makes a whole lot of sense down here, so we're going to do something a little bit different, but I want to leave that till the very last step and kind of fill in all of the gaps with the trees, so we'll save that till later on. What we're going to be doing right now is building some of the smaller details, such as carts and wagons, kind of taking the ores around to the different buildings. And I've also got a couple of like container sort of builds that I've whipped together in my creative test world. So I'm basically going to take some screenshots of everything I've made over there and implement it into this area. Just by adding in those few things, it is looking a whole lot more lively around here. Now, I did build more than 4 individual builds, but they're all kind of very similar. So let me just show you what I've actually done here. So we got a few of these small carts, just very, very simple, just about as simple as you can get. That one over there is carrying some copper, and that one over there is just carrying general supplies with the note block texture. That's meant to look like a crate, the barrel, and there is a chest in front of that, but we're too far away, so it's not actually rendered in, as you can see. And then I also made a couple of medium-sized wagons over here. So as you can see, this is what we've got going on, carrying some gold. These are actually my last gold blocks. We used up most of them in the last episode doing piglin bartering. So I'm now completely out of gold. And then we got another one over here just carrying some coal. And then we have the big boy wagons, the largest of them all. This one is just carrying a bunch of crates. As you can see, we got two of the big wheels on either side instead of one big one and one small one. So this one doesn't exactly have handles to push and pull it, but I don't know, use your imagination. Maybe it's a bit of a team effort. Everybody has to get behind and push and then steer at the front or something. And then we also have another one over here carrying some iron. I've also built a couple of vague storage vats. They don't look specific in any way. You might not even know what that's meant to be without me telling you, but it's basically just to store some items or something. I don't know. I was struggling to come up with something that I could actually build there other than carts and wagons. So yeah, we just got some general storage basically. And last but not least, we have a smoking pile of coal in a container just outside of the coal building. That is smoldering, as you can see. It's fresh off the press from being crafted into coal blocks or something. I don't know. It just seemed like it made sense to have the coal smoking. Something I've been doing with this project is trying to make everything look functional and as though it actually works and adding a little bit of realism into it, but as opposed to what I would usually do, I haven't been going above and beyond, trying to make everything absolutely perfect and as though it makes perfect sense. Whilst that can be cool, it doesn't always correlate very well into it looking good in Minecraft. So I've kind of taken some liberties and not really tried too hard to make everything seem as though it works. So, you know, if you maybe look at a bit more in detail this entire project, you may start to question some things, but really all that people are going to be doing, myself included, is just kind of taking a step back, looking at it as an overview and thinking, yep, stuff is going on here, and really that's all I'm trying to achieve. So we're making some really good progress over here, but we're certainly not done. Something I would actually like to build now is sort of a home, or homes I should say, for the miners that are going to be working down in the mines here. So I had a wonderful comment from a user by the name of Kachi Chan. Apologies if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but they had some fantastic ideas, and one of them that I particularly loved was a small sort of campsite with some tents pitched up, a couple of utilities for the miners to use. Nothing super fancy, not any buildings of sort, just some tents. So I'm thinking we actually possibly build it over here in this big open area. I've been thinking of what to build there. So it's not exactly in the middle of this mining area, it's kind of off to the side, and yeah, it's just gonna be like a little bit of an outpost for them to go to after a hard days of work down in the mines. I don't know what side to build it on. To the left of the pathway or to the right of the pathway. We've definitely got more room over here, but there's also quite a lot here that I feel like needs something as well. And I don't really want to, do half the tents over here and half the tents over here. So I'm thinking we do it over this side, and then at a later stage, maybe not in today's episode, but we can think of something to build here. Or just, build a bunch of custom trees and fill in the gap that way. That always works well. Okay, that is probably enough tents. We've got some weird and wacky varying sizes here, ranging from a really, really, really small tent at the front here, all the way up to a lot bigger of a tent at the back here. We've got odd and even numbers. We've got all sorts. I was just kind of building these on the fly. I've made a lot of tents in my time, so if I just stick to this style, it kind of comes naturally to me. The only one I don't really like is this one. But yeah, I'm going to actually change that back because now I'm showing it on camera. I hate it. I hate it. So pretend you didn't see that one. Next time you see it, it will be replaced by a better tent. And hopefully I would have also, furnished the inside of them and done a couple of other things on the outside here. There we go. That's a little bit better looking. Nothing revolutionary, but not just a box like it was before. So as you can see, I've kind of added in a little bit of a pathway. I didn't want to do all of the brick and the granite because you can see how much of a pathway I've made here. This whole floor would have turned to brick and granite and it would have just been too much simply. So we've gone with the very, very basic pathway design of coarse dirt and path blocks. However, a lot of what we're building on right now is actually hand-placed terrain. I had to change it a little bit a couple of episodes ago, so I need to just go careful where we have like the path blocks, because you can see that single pixel throw, so just don't want to have any gaps, otherwise it looks a little bit weird. I've also, as you can see, okay, my game crashed. I'll be right back. As I was saying, I've furnished the inside of the tents here with some apparently cursed beds that crashed my game. Not this time though. So we've just done very simple stuff of a bed or a couple of them in each of them, just so we've got plenty of room for lots of miners and some storage and crafting tables, all that sort of stuff. Very, very simple items. And lastly, for now that is, I've added a very small campfire section just to sit and relax on and warm up if needed. I mean, we're probably in a cold climate right now, right? With the snow mountains nearby, yeah, they probably need a fire to stay warm. So we've got that added in, and I think I'm just going to go around and add in a few more details. Not too many. I don't want to overcrowd this place entirely, but I do need a couple more, I would say. So here we have our finished campsite, and as I said, I didn't really want to add in too much, so honestly, not a lot has changed around here. All I've really done is added in a couple of lampposts so we can get some lights around here. I also added, a tiny detail this, but a couple of pots around the campfire. I also added a bigger kind of dining table here, just kind of in this back corner. I thought that would be a nice spot to, for all the miners to sit around and have some food maybe. We got a similar one of these down actually in the mines. And then last but not least, everybody's favorite part about a campsite, the porta potties or the outposts, whatever you want to call these, or outhouse, not outposts. So yeah, we're not going to go inside. You don't need to see that, but you can imagine what is going on inside of there. So with our little campsite over here all finished, there's really only one thing left to add to complete our mining operation here, which, as you may have guessed, is the custom trees. Now, it's no secret that I don't like building custom trees. I make a bit of a habit of telling you guys whenever I have to do them. So when I do have to build custom trees, not that anyone's forcing me to do this, I just think it's going to look better, I try to build them in a way that kind of has a pattern to it, which is why I love building these spruce trees so much. Love is a strong word. Don't mind building these spruce trees so much, because there's kind of a pattern to how you do them, and you don't really have to, you know, fine tweak them every single time. You can just place the blocks in an order and it'll probably turn out fine. So when designing the new trees that we were going to be building for this area, I tried to make sure I could do a similar thing. So we're not going to be building any spruce trees around here, as I've already mentioned. We are instead going to be building some custom oak and birch trees, or at least those are the blocks we're going to be using. We already have quite a lot of oak and birch in this surrounding area, so it seemed like it made sense. However, I'm not a big fan of how these look. They're fine, but I don't really want them all in my area here, so we're going to be making them look a little bit better. I thought I would share with all of you the way that I'm going to be building these trees. Then if you want to make some of your own, you should be able to have a pretty good idea of how to do it. So before we go ahead and build all of the trees in this area, I'm just going to build one of each and kind of talk you through the process. Now, to those of you thinking, oh god, he's going to spend 10 minutes now talking about custom trees. No, don't worry, it's not going to take that long, maybe a minute or two, but I'll try and go as quick as possible whilst also being helpful to the few people watching right now who will actually benefit from this. So we're going to start with the birch tree, and the first thing we do, as always, is place down our logs. These are going to be 8 to 12 blocks high, something like that, and on top of that top block, we're going to have 2 or 3 birch leaves. Then, on all 4 of the sides, we're going to place some more leaves next to the logs, but we just want to vary the height of them a little bit, so just make sure they're not all exactly the same. And then we're also going to do that same thing for the corner blocks. So in the end, you should have what is virtually a 3x3 tree. Just make sure you haven't made something like a perfect rectangle. As I said, vary the height a little bit and keep some shorter, keep some longer. Once we have that done, we're then left with this 3x3 tree, so each side is 3 blocks wide. We're going to pick one of those sides and pretty much just bushy it up with some leaves, placing a couple, making sure we miss out some gaps for one of the sides. Then we're going to move around to the next side, that 3 wide side, and then we're going to do the same for the second side, same for the third side, same for the fourth side. Pretty simple. We're just adding that bushiness to make it seem more like a realistic tree as opposed to a Minecraft tree. As for the oak tree, we're going to go up maybe 5 to 8 blocks, and then we're going to build some branches with our logs, and we're going to make 4 of these. You could probably do 3, but I think 4 is going to be easier in each direction, making sure you go maybe a bit sideways, a little bit diagonal, up or down, however you see fit. Just build some branches basically. Then we're going to grab our leaves and we're going to go around to the edge block of all of the branches and pretty much connect them from that point, making this shape around the branches that we've just made. Then we can go underneath the tree and we're going to kind of fill in this bottom section. Don't worry if you miss a couple of blocks. Air gaps are actually really good in custom trees. You don't want it to be completely solid of leaves because it can look a little bit weird sometimes. So we're going to fill in that bottom section, then we're going to hop up on top, and we're going to kind of fill in this middle section that we have, but we're going to leave those air blocks for the same reasons I've just said. Then we're going to do virtually the same on the next layer, and then we're going to do one more layer on top. Obviously, this will depend on how big or small your tree is, how many layers you do, but you just want to kind of slowly go inwards to create that topper of the tree. So once we have all of that done, you can then go around and fine tune it a little bit if you would like to. I know I said I don't really like doing that with custom trees, but when you make one that looks like this, it's hard not to. So just have a couple of leaves dangling down below and tweak a couple of things if you would like to. With these 2 trees now in place, I'm going to go ahead and replicate them quite a few more times so we can fully finish our mining operation project. 17 custom trees later and we are done. It certainly looks a whole lot better around here, and I most certainly enjoy building the birch trees more than the oak trees. You could probably tell from the time lapse they took a lot less time. There's just more of a pattern to it, isn't there? But the oak trees aren't all that bad, so all in all I've not had too bad of a time actually making all of these. However, we are not quite done with this project. We have 3 things left to do. The first one is to connect this part of the pathway over up to that stone pathway there. I know I said I probably wasn't going to do that today, but I feel like I just can't really call this finished until we can connect the 2 areas together. Just got to go around placing the final pieces of string so we don't have any snow forming on our blocks here. And I don't know how far we actually need to go into this area. No, we're in a meadow biome now, so we can stop. And there we are, blended the paths together. I think that's fine, isn't it? I'll probably end up tweaking it eventually at some point, but now we can safely say these 2 areas are linked together. The next thing I want to do is fill in this gap right here. We do have a couple of other gaps around this area which kind of look as though they need something built on them, but not as much as this one right here. We definitely need to build something. So we're not going to be doing any custom trees, we're not going to be making any more buildings. We are instead going to be building another maybe small pond with a bit of a waterfall coming out of the mountain there. A little bit like we have over here, just probably not quite as large. So hopefully that should fill in the space pretty well. There we go, that's a nice little addition to this area. We got some lovely greenery around the outside, some drip leaves to jump across on, and even some moss and other stuff under the water here. Nothing too complicated, but I certainly think it fills in the area pretty well. So the final thing that I would like to do to call this place finished is very simply spam some bone meal everywhere. As you can see, we got a couple of spots, particularly where I've had to terraform, where we just have nothing but grass block, and we could build some other stuff there, but I don't think it's really necessary. I don't want to crowd this place too much, and I've tried to be like strategic in how I place a lot of the trees so it doesn't completely cover up a lot of the buildings from all viewpoints. So, you know, building a custom tree right in the middle there, it's going to block the warehouse quite a lot. That's just one example, but yeah, bone mill, just adding a bunch of the tall grass around can really help just bring everything together. So I'm going to go grab some bones and do all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done. As you can see, this area has been well and truly grassified. Usually when I place down all of this bone meal, I try to be a little bit particular about it, but that tends to only be when I'm working on a small area. When I've got a large area like this and I just need to put a butt ton of grass down, I kind of just start clicking away like crazy. Usually I would break the flowers and break a few pieces of the grass, but I don't think it's all that bad having it look a little bit overgrown here. Plus the flowers add a nice little bit of color as opposed to just the vast amount of green that we have. So yeah, we are now finished with the mining project operation, and I could not be happier. I think this has all come together very, very nicely. There is actually one last thing I forgot to do. Every single time I fly past this building, I keep meaning to actually make this change, but I always say, I'll do it later. Nearly completely forgot about it until right this moment. I don't want this copper as my roof. I want it to be the nice, pristine, fresh copper, just a normal copper block. So instead of actually scraping this, I think because these blocks are so valuable to me, I'm going to break every single block right here and just replace it with new blocks. Then that way I'll be able to have like these variants of the copper slabs at my disposal for whenever I need them. So super quickly, I'm going to change all of these blocks over and then we'll be done. I am now very pleased to say that we are officially finished with the mining operation project here. So to celebrate, I think we should take a little bit of a look around at everything we have built in this area. So let's put on some music, slap on some shaders, and take a little bit of a fly around in replay mod at the mining operation here. So there we go, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed that cinematic fly around. It's always very nice to do something like that once you've finished a project, just a kind of general overview where you can sit back and look at everything that you've built. And I think we made all of this in 6 episodes in total, not continuously working on it, that is. So it was a really nice sized project. Wasn't gonna take me too long, but also wasn't something I could get done in a single episode. A good in-between points. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and that is going to do it for this episode. Now, by the time you guys are watching this video, 1.19 is right around the corner. It's coming out on the 7th of June, I believe, which is pretty inconvenient for me. I mentioned this at the end of last episode, but I just want to reiterate it again, and I'm sure I'll say the same thing next episode, but I'm away when 1.19 comes out, so 1.19, the wild update content here in this series is going to have to be pushed back an extra week. So there's not going to be any 1.19 content next week, but the following week after, we're going to do some fun stuff when I'm back and I'm actually able to record in the new update. So please bear with me because, yeah, when we do eventually get around to it, it's going to be very, very fun. I'm thoroughly looking forward to it, and I hope you guys are too. But thank you for watching this episode. I really hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.